is a presentation of Fox Sports. We are Fox. We are Wisconsin.
Sunday afternoon, downtown Minneapolis. We welcome you to Target Field, the home of the Twins. And it's the final game of this series. The Brewers and the Twins, Game 3. Brewers looking for a sweep. Carlos Gomez has been red hot. 6 hits and 9 at-bats. He drove in 3 runs yesterday in a 4-hit game. And the Brewers try to make it 3 straight here in Minnesota for the first time since 1996. Hi, everybody. We welcome you from Target Field. Great to have you with us alongside Bill Schroeder. I'm Brian Anderson. We'll hear from Sophia Minnaert in just a little while. Well, if American Pharoah can win 3 in a row, the Brewers figure they can too, right, here in Minnesota. It's been a little less time that they've done it here in Minnesota, but the Brewers do feel like they got one of the biggest race horses in the big leagues. See where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I know. It's good.
And his name is Carlos Gomez.
For you.
Carlos Gomez had another great day yesterday.
And they both compete unbridled fashion. So,
nice.
Carlos Gomez is a guy that he can be real good and sometimes he can be a little bit frustrating. Yesterday, he was real good. No matter where he hits in the lineup, Carlos Gomez makes things happen. And yesterday, he certainly did. I mean, he was hitting in the leadoff spot in yesterday's game with Ryan Braun back in there. 4 for 4, a double, a walk, 3 RBIs, and certainly a guy that is the key contributor to this Brewers lineup. No matter where he hits, seems like Carlos is always in the lineup, always trying to get the best thing that he can get done in a given game. So we'll see how Carlos responds here today.
Well, he had a season-high 4 hits yesterday afternoon. He had a season-high 3 runs batted in, and he loves playing against his former club. 24 games against him, 19 runs batted in. He's hitting for a 369 average. He is back in the starting lineup. He's in the gate. He's ready to roll in the leadoff spot. Mike Fiers is on the mound today, coming off a terrific start against St. Louis. Sophia Minnaert will have more on Fiers right after this.
Brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. By Toyota. See where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places. And by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time.
A beautiful day for baseball here at Target Field. Today's starters getting ready for the series finale. It's Mike Fiers for the Brewers and Mike Pelfrey for the Twins. Craig Counsell saying that in his last 2 starts, Mike Fiers has delivered when the team needed him to. He went on 3 days rest in his start against the Giants and then was bumped up a day to start the series in St. Louis when Matt Garza pitched in relief on Sunday. So Fiers delivered 2 good outings in his last 2 starts. Pitching coach Rick Kranitz talked about Fiers' development, how he's progressing into a quality big league pitcher.
He's just so difficult to pick up for a hitter. You know, his deception is real good. You know, what I've seen is he's been pretty much really level-headed as far as, you know, when something may not go quite right, you know, he's grinding it out and he's making good pitches. I've seen him the last couple of games. He didn't have quite his best stuff, but he pitched well enough to win, and that's the key of being a quality big league pitcher. You know, we got to get his curveball going a little bit more, which will help him. You know, he threw it a lot last game and just couldn't throw it for strikes. That's a big key for him because it's going to help his high fastball, the deception of his high fastball. So I'm looking for him to attack and, you know, like he should, and get after these hitters.
Fiers threw 6 shutout innings against the Cardinals in his last start. Now looking to shut down the Twins as the Brewers go for their first series sweep here at Target Field. We've got first pitch coming up for you next on Fox Sports Wisconsin.
deep. Carlos Gomez, goodbye. The border battle continues in Minneapolis. Last game of this series. The Brewers and the Twins will match up in Milwaukee later in the month of June, the 26th through the 28th of June. Carlos Gomez hoping to keep it going here in the Twin Cities. Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Book your stay now. Our producer Brent Reeland, director Pat O'Connor. We are delighted to have you with us this afternoon. 81 degrees, just gorgeous for baseball today. We've had 3 great weather days here in Minneapolis. Let's check the batting order for the Craig Counsell's Brewers. It is courtesy of Potawatomi. Back in the top spot is Gomez. Lucroy will be the designated hitter today, then Ryan Braun. Adam Lind, Aramis Ramirez, and Gerardo Parra in the middle, with Segura, Maldonado, and Hernan Perez rounding out the Brewers 9 today, and they will face right-hander Mike Pelfrey, who is having a terrific year for the Twins this season.
Well, and he's finally healthy. He had some years with the Mets where he wasn't feeling all that great, and the numbers were indicative of that. 11 start, a 4-2 record, and a 259 earned run average. And Mike Pelfrey specializes in the sinker, the splitter, and gets a lot of ground ball outs.
Pelfrey, the former Met, he and Gomez formerly with the Mets. And they were there together, as a matter of fact. Little ground ball, tough play coming in as Dozier barehanded. He got him. Gomez is out. Excellent play by Brian Dozier for the first out of the ball game, and that's how the afternoon begins.
Well, good defense already by Brian Dozier. Let's set up the rest of the Twins defensively. Brought to you by Menards today. Escobar, Hicks, and Rosario in the outfield. Nunez, Santana. Saw Brian Dozier make a nice play. Joe Mauer at first base, and Kurt Suzuki back behind home plate. He started game number 1 in this series.
Dozier homering yesterday. Brewers won yesterday's game. They've taken the first 2 in this series after dropping a couple against the St. Louis Cardinals. So thus far, the Brewers are 3-2 on this road trip with 4 games remaining. 3-game series in Pittsburgh coming up beginning tomorrow as Lucroy fouls one off, and he's quickly in a hole 0-2.
Yeah, like with every sinker ball, you're best off trying to get to him early. Craig Counsell very pleased with the way his team has responded here in Minnesota after a tough couple of games in St. Louis, as you mentioned. Trying to find some consistency offensively on the Brewers.
Pelfrey deals an 0-2, and Lucroy muscles one shallow right down, a base hit. And Lucroy will reach with a single. He has really been swinging the bat well since coming back from the disabled list. And so a man on, and Ryan Braun will bat. It's in our T-Mobile game changer this afternoon. Braun hit his 13th home run of the season, and look what he's done since April 28th. His numbers comparable to Bryce Harper, who's getting a lot of the headlines right now. But since that mark, April 28th, he's been among the most productive hitters in the major leagues, leading the major leagues in runs batted in.
And doing some of that damage with a sore thumb. Kind of propped up on him in Atlanta. Continued to play a little bit, and then had to get those shots in the right hand, the thumb area, in St. Louis.
Now Braun missed 2 games. He was on the active roster and never went on the disabled list, but he did not play here on Friday night. Back in the starting lineup yesterday, and in his first at bat, he hit a home run to center field. So he has 13 home runs now. A 21 homer season for Ryan Braun will tie him with Robin Yount for the franchise record in homers as a Brewer. So he is 8 shy of matching Robin Yount. Braun is currently second in the franchise record books with 243 career homers.
It's going to be tough to hit one off of Pelfrey. He doesn't give up too many, only 3 this year. And 2 of those came in his first start. A lot of ground balls. The Brewer hitters need to make Pelfrey get his pitches up in the strike zone early in the count. Big, tall right-hander.
Pelfrey and Braun, part of the same draft in 2005. As we get the draft underway, Braun was the 5th pick overall. Pelfrey was the 9th pick in 2005. Pelfrey was one of the first to the big leagues. He was in the major leagues the very next season, 2006, with the Mets. Yeah, Matt Garza was part of that draft. It was, I believe, Garza and Ryan Zimmerman and Mike Pelfrey were the first wave of players from the 05 draft to make it to the major leagues. They were all up in 06 at one point. Braun arrived in late May of 07. Now in his 9th year in the big leagues, Ryan Braun. A swing and a miss out in front, and a strikeout for Pelfrey, the second out of the inning. How about that 05 draft, Rock, as we approach the 2015 draft coming up? Justin Upton went 1-1, first round, first pick overall that year. Look at all these, not just big leaguers, but all-stars and talented major league players.
Yeah, not too many busts in the top 12, right? Yeah, Troy Tulowitzki in that group.
Garza was a 25th pick that year. Not in the top 12, but he was part of the draft. Garza had a great day yesterday for the Brewers. He got a win. Back-to-back victories for Matt Garza. And looks to be settling in a little bit himself. Adam Lind with a Lucroy at first. And the big shift on. Garza, his last 2 times out, including the 5 shutout inning relief performance in the 17-inning game. And then yesterday's start, starting to round into more Matt Garza-like form.
Yeah, 1 run, 7 innings, really established inside and broke a lot of bats yesterday. The Brewers have been wanting to see Garza be a little bit more aggressive early in the count. He certainly provided that yesterday. And a good win for the Crew. Looking for a sweep here in Minnesota.
First time since 1996. If they can pull that trick, that is the line for Matt Garza yesterday. Lind lines one foul. Hit it like a bullet away from the shift. He almost took out the third base umpire as well, Toby Basner. That was a heat-seeking missile right at him.
And another good approach for Adam Lind. That's what he's been doing as of late. Staying back. The 2-seam fastball from Pelfrey went right with it. Staying on the baseball nicely these days.
Lind had a hit yesterday. He had 3 hits and 6 RBIs in the opener on Friday night. One of his best RBI days as a major leaguer. Second best day, as a matter of fact. He had an 8 RBI game a few years back against Texas, but twice he has had 6 RBI games against the Minnesota Twins, and they have both come here at Target Field. Drove in 6 back in 2013, and then a 6 ribby game Friday night, part of that Brewers 10-5 win. And a little lazy pop-up to the opposite field. Escobar is under it, and Mike Pelfrey puts up a 0 in the first. Mike fires on the mound for the Brew Crew. The Twins are coming to bat. Target Field, and they're still filing in on this Sunday afternoon. They have drawn well here in this series, a weekend series between the Brewers and the Twins, and a legendary Brewer in first place as a first-year manager, Paul Molitor, the St. Paul native. Brewers have his number 4 retired. That's the number he sports. As the Twins skipper, his batting order today is brought to you by Potawatomi. He's got Dozier, Suzuki, and Mauer at the top. Torrey Hunter, Eddie Rosario, Eduardo Escobar in the middle, with Nunez, Hicks, and Santana rounding out his starting 9. Joe Mauer has 4 hits, including a 3-run homer in this series. Mike Fiers on the mound, hoping to carry on what he did in St. Louis his last time out. He went 6 shutout, and today he makes his 12th start of the year.
Yeah, the Brewers picked up a 1-0 victory in that ball game. Had a very good month of May, although record didn't show it. 1-2, a 382 earned run average in 6 starts.
Dozier out in front, pops it up. Gomez drifting back. Wow, the wind must really be moving the baseball out towards right center. Gomez, under wobbly knees, makes that catch for the first out.
Yeah, don't take anything for granted today with that win. Hey, the Menards defense for the Brew Crew. Park, Gomez, and Braun. You got Ramirez, Segura, Perez, and Lynn from third to first, and Maldonado making a start. His first start behind home plate since Lucroy's return from the disabled list.
It's been a week since he's been back there. He needed all that rest after catching 17 innings and hitting a walk-off home run in the 17th inning of that victory against Arizona. The Twins catcher, Kurt Suzuki, hits second. Interesting that the 2 catchers today bat second in the lineup for these 2 managers.
Although Lucroy's actually the DH.
Good point. Good point.
But I get what
I
you're
didn't know
talking
you're trying
about.
to be technical. It is a Sunday. I mean, for a DH, he's a fine catcher.
Yeah, I'll tell you, he can catch for a DH.
Suzuki rolls over one foul. Suzuki had the day off yesterday. He did have a pinch hit appearance. Matter of fact, he bounced into a double play that ended the game last night. 4-2 final. The Brewers won.
Man, not too many options for Molitor on that Twins bench. Only 3 available.
Are any of them catchers by chance?
Yeah, Chris Herman.
Right. Who probably won't play as the DH. There's a called strike 3. Fiers, hits the inside corner. Suzuki is not ready to leave the plate area just yet. Having a few words with Brian Knight.
Well, he sticks around a little bit longer. Herman's going to be in the game.
Exactly.
Yeah, right on the inside corner. You wonder if, watching Garza yesterday, Mike Fiers is going to try to establish inside. Fox Tracks had that one just a little bit off the inside corner. Very effective yesterday was Garza coming inside.
The art of framing pitches by Martin Maldonado. That was a great example of how you can steal a strike.
And Brewers very fortunate to have 2 guys that do a very good job of that. It's all about the wrist. You don't move the arms, just kind of cradle that baseball around the edge of the strike zone.
This is how you steal a strike for your pitcher.
Watch the way he extends his arm and able to keep that pitch right there. You see the way he rolled that glove over to make it look a little bit better.
Well, there is an artistry involved in that, and you have to start moving that glove towards the middle. I always think about it as kind of rounding the baseball if you're trying to get a strike. And you can't do it every time. You can't take a pitch that's 6 inches, a foot inside or outside and try to make it a strike. That just looks bad. It's those little subtle movements on the close pitches. Those are the ones you can try to steal one every now and then.
Yeah, you always want to have the back of the glove facing away from the strike zone if you want to put it in simple terms. And making that pitch look a little bit better to the umpire. An extending arm is very important.
2-2 to Mauer. Well, he swings and fouls one away. Joe Mauer comes in with a batting average of .273. He has just 2 homers this year. One of those came on Friday night. He hit a 3-run home run, part of a 5-run inning for the Twins. The 2-2 from Fiers, hit hard, but Segura lays out. He's got it, spins and throws him out. Heck of a play by Gene Segura. A diving stop, a perfect throw, and Fiers gets some excellent defense behind him to get us started here today. Well done, Gene Segura. So Fiers retires the side in order, and the Brewers have come to play with the gloves today. Ready to go here in the second inning. Mike Pelfrey deals a strike to Aramis Ramirez. Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Scoreless game just underway. Great to have you with us on a Sunday. Brewers will be jumping on the Big Bird, headed to Pittsburgh tonight. Starting a 3-game series, all night games in Pittsburgh.
Weather going to be a little shaky, isn't it?
There's a little something moving in to the Pittsburgh area. The western Pennsylvania corridor is about to be hit hard, I think. Good thing we're flying right into it. A lot of Brewers fans catching the crew. They have been loud in this series. It's been a good one for them. Brewers have won the first 2 games. Ramirez, a little flare. That one's going to fall. Looks a lot like Lucroy's.
About that, huh?
So the 2 hits have been little flares to right, and Ramirez will reach to lead off the second inning.
You see Pelfrey trying to catch that pitch on the outside corner, actually off the plate, and Ramirez, one-hands it, waves at it, and dumps it into right field in front of Eddie Rosario. Couple of cheapies for the Brewers to start this one today.
Pelfrey from the stretch with Gerardo Parra coming up. And a swing and a miss by Parra. Gerardo comes in with a batting average of .273. He's got a nice little run going. He is 1 for 8 in this series. He did drive in a run. Chris Davis on the disabled list. Had surgery on an injured knee, a meniscus tear that needed a repair. Wow, that foul ball came up and hit Parra in the face. Rattled his cage a little bit.
Yeah, one of his best pitches, the split-fingered fastball. When his pitch starts around the knees, you're better off letting it go. You see the grip in the glove. Kind of throws it off to the side and watch the baseball dip. And almost knocks his helmet off. Got a piece of his nose, perhaps.
No balls and 2 strikes on Parra. Ramirez no threat to run at first. Barely has a lead over there, making sure that even the pitcher knows there's no need to throw over here. Nothing to see.
Don't make me go back.
Yeah, we had a nice visit today with the great Jack Morris, who has stopped by the booth. He does a little television for the Twins and the Tigers, and had one of the great splitters, forkballs of all time, and he had a lot to say about Pelfrey's split finger grip.
Yeah, throws a little bit differently than he used to. Pelfrey, as we talked about that last pitch, kind of gets onto the side of it.
There's a fastball in there for a strike, his second strikeout.
He gets on the side of it and kind of rolls his hand, and more of a kind of a split change than the one that Jack Morris used to throw. Morris used to throw it right over the top, and you get that 12-6 tumble and go straight down as opposed to going down and in on a right-handed batter. So a little bit different way they throw it, but Pelfrey very effective with his as well.
Pelfrey almost throws his splitter or split grip like a screwball, like he has a screwball action to it. He turns over the wrist and tries to get it basically sinking down in a way, and because of how he holds it, the velocity is lower than his fastball, so it almost works like a changeup. It's been a very effective pitch for him. Mike Fiers also throws an off-speed pitch with a split grip. That's how he throws his changeup. So you got a couple of guys who have split grips, but they don't throw traditional split finger fastballs or forkballs. It's a totally different action. Segura pops this one up. Dozier is back, coming in Rosario, and he'll make the call and the catch. Segura retired, 2 away now.
And if that wasn't enough, we were talking to Bert Blyleven about how he held his curveball. So, you know, a little bit of a history lesson. Bert Blyleven in the Hall of Fame. Jack Morris probably should be.
Yeah, I agree. Jack Morris, he continues to miss out. There's Bert Blyleven. Circle him, Rock. Circle
yeah, well,
Bert.
I can't do that. That's his bag. Well, okay, I'll do it. There you go. Circle you, Bert.
That's his thing. Long time Twins broadcaster and Hall of Fame member. Martin Maldonado into center field on the first pitch. Hicks makes the play, and the inning is over. A leadoff single for Ramirez. He is left stranded at first by Pelfrey.
On Fox Sports Wisconsin is presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Mike Fiers back to work for the Brewers in a scoreless game finale here at Target Field. And pitching coach Rick Kranitz talking about Fiers says he's been very level-headed this season and says that even when things haven't gone quite right for him, he's been able to grind through. And he said that's really been the case over his last few outings. He felt that he didn't have his best stuff, but still pitched well enough to win. And he says when you can do that, it's really the mark of a quality starter here in the big leagues, and he's proud of Fiers for how he's been able to manage that.
Well, no doubt. I mean, and Kranitz will tell you also that Fiers has been without two of his better pitches in the early going this year. The curveball, the changeup, very inconsistent. He almost hit Torrey Hunter with a changeup right there. So it's basically been straight fastball cutter for Mike Fiers, and that's pretty much been the way he's been, getting his outs. Really has not had the consistent off-speed pitches.
2-0 to start the inning for Fiers against Torrey Hunter. Hunter hitting cleanup today. He's in there as the designated hitter. And a big swing and a miss by Hunter. Paul Molitor, like most teams in the American League using the DH, is kind of a revolving door. It's a day to get a player off the field but still keep him in the lineup. The day of the specific designated hitter kind of coming to an end, I think. David Ortiz with the Red Sox, Billy Butler with the Oakland Athletics. There aren't many remaining that only DH.
Well, it's a big money position. It's usually a veteran guy with power that can hit, obviously, and you don't see as much of it. You're right. Only a couple of guys left.
One of the guys who excelled at that job maybe as much as anyone in the history of the game is Paul Molitor, especially late in his career. Full count to Torrey Hunter, and he lost him. Fiers issues a walk. Leadoff base runner for the Twins. Well, the Brewers have both of their catchers in the starting lineup today, and check it out, Ron. Hector Gomez, just in case.
Hey, he's been warming up guys from time to time. He used to be a catcher.
It took him about 3 minutes to figure out how to put that mask on. So my confidence is low, but
he's saying it's not for me anymore. But they're having a good time with it. That's what happens when you win a couple of games. You can loosen up a little bit. There he is.
Got the shin guards on.
Looking all comfortable out there.
Like that. You know who the emergency catcher was for the Brewers for a few years was Craig Counsell when he was still active, and back in 2011. So it means a little more when the manager tells you, hey, Hector, I need you to go get sized up for catcher's equipment. I got both of my catchers in the lineup today.
Of course, Counsell was the emergency catcher, but nobody ever told him.
That's right.
Back in the Ken Maka days.
The batter is Eddie Rosario. He's got 3 hits in this series. He's 3 for 8. Has a couple of doubles. Rosario, a .289 hitter. Twins right fielder. Twins have a lot of young talent. They've got more on the way. They've got one of the best prospects in the game in Byron Buxton, who is in Double-A right now. Might see him in the big leagues this year.
This guy can hit. Guy at the plate. Got a good swing. Stays on the baseball. And Torrey Hunter used to be a guy that stole a lot of bases, but not so much anymore.
He'll be turning 40 this season in a month.
Say no more.
Brewers have been able to turn a lot of double plays in this series in key moments. Fiers is more of a fly ball pop-up pitcher when he's right. Perfect ballpark for him here at Target Field. Fiers is on a nice little run on the mound. He'd like to pitch deeper into games. Still averages more pitches per plate appearance than anybody else in the National League. A little over 4 pitches per plate appearance on average. Longest outing this year, 6 1/3. Only twice has he been able to go 6 innings. In the air, left center, hit well. Parra cannot get there. All the way to the wall. Hunter around third. He'll come in to score. And on his way to third goes Rosario.
And not a good throw by Segura. Not sure why he did that. And good heads-up base running by Rosario. He saw Segura turn it around to make the throw, and he just cruises on into third base. Not a very wise thing to do for Gene. Rosario heads up, able to make it into third base. And there's still nobody out. That's what we're talking about. Stays on the baseball, drives that one into the gap. In left center, Torrey Hunter is going to score easily. And for whatever reason, Gene Segura spins around and throws home. And they have Rosario dead to rights at third base.
Just the kind of mistakes the Brewers continue to make. They're little things. They don't show up in the box score, but it's just been an everyday occurrence for the most part. There's a base hit and an RBI for Eduardo Escobar. He's on his way to second. Thinking about third, and he'll go. Here's Perez with the throw to third. It gets by. Fires backing up. That'll be a triple and an RBI, and the Twins are out of the gates quickly here today. 2 runs in here in the second inning.
Normally when Mike Fiers faces a team for the first time in a season, Fiers hasn't faced these guys too much. Infield in, I don't think it would have mattered. That ball would have been down in the corner regardless, even if Lynn was back. A bullet down the right field line, and Escobar able to go all the way around to third base. So 3 consecutive base runners, 2 consecutive extra base hits, and the Twins have an early lead.
A walk, a double, and a triple in this inning against Fiers. Runner at third with nobody out for Eduardo Nunez. First time in the series the Twins have scored first. Nunez 1 for 4 in the series. Comes in hitting .285 with runners in scoring position. The Twins as a team, one of the best offensive teams with runners in scoring position. They're hitting nearly .300. Escobar at third, the former Yankee. Nunez at the plate. Now in his second year with the Twins. Bouncing ball to Ramirez. Nice easy hop for him. And that'll keep the runner at third. So there is the first out. Good out for Fiers to get. The runner has to stay put.
I guess the scouting report on Mike Fiers is, sit on fastballs. That seems to be what the Twins have been doing, because what we were talking about earlier, not able to really command the off-speed stuff very well. Has still been very effective without it.
Infield in for the Brewers, and Hicks
there you go.
Takes a strike. There's a curveball in there. He needed to see that one find the zone.
And that was a good one, a big breaker, good sharp break going straight down as the Brewers continue to keep the infield in.
Oh, and 2 the count on Aaron Hicks.
The spot in the batting order for the Twins that had a lot of opportunities in yesterday's ball game. Hicks and Santana.
Yesterday, Hicks and Santana hit an 8 and 9 as well. They stranded 8 runners on base in yesterday's game.
Yeah, both for 4 in those spots, double plays and a couple of strikeouts.
4 apiece for those two. And really the big moment in the game was the the double play off the bat of Santana in the 5th inning. That's a bouncer. Fires has this one. Looks the runner back. And there is out number 2. So a way out of this inning with no further damage for Mike Fiers.
All of a sudden, Mike Fiers starting to have a little bit of success with the off speed. That looked like a changeup that time. Trying to mix in that curveball, get the changeup working, and he had Hicks out in front.
It can have an instant impact on his success on the mound when he finds his breaking stuff. And those games when Fiers has been at his best, he's throwing 3 and 4 pitches for strikes in any count. That's the way he has to pitch. He doesn't have the overpowering fastball. So he relies on deception. He has a very unorthodox delivery. It's up for hitters to pick him up. Well, another one back to the mound. Fiers bobbles, recovers, and gets out of it. A changeup from Fiers, so he found it just in the nick of time. 2-run score, 2-0 Twins. We head to the 3rd.
Good field, Twins up 2-0, and the Brewers and Twins meet again in 3 weeks, and this time it's at Miller Park and on Sunday, June 28th. All fans get a bobblehead of Brewers Hall of Famer and current Twins manager Paul Molitor. That's courtesy of Clements. Visit Brewers.com to reserve your spot today.
Here's Hernan Perez leading off for the Brew Crew, down 2-0. RBIs from Rosario and Escobar. Extra base hits in the bottom of the 2nd. Pelfrey begins his 3rd inning of work. He's given up 2 hits, make it 3 now. The hardest hit ball of the day for the Brewers as Perez comes up with his first hit. Just arriving to the Brewers in St. Louis. Brewers acquired Perez via waivers.
Yeah, played some second. He can play third. Throw him over at shortstop. The Brewers are excited about some of their young middle infielders.
His first hit as a Brewer. Hernan Perez coming to the Crew from the Tigers. Here is Gomez back at the top of the order. Carlos with a season high 4 hits yesterday. Also had a walk. He was on base 5 times. Drove in a season best 3 RBIs. He has a 9-game hit streak going. He and Segura carry 9-game hit streaks into this game today. Something about the Twins that brings the best out in Gomez. It was a thrill for Carlos to not just play in an All-Star game here last year, but start the All-Star game. Back-to-back years as an All-Star. Last year, Gomez was voted as a starter by the fans. And he has great numbers here in this ballpark. A 400 average in 13 games. He's got as many RBIs as games played here in this venue.
I'm not sure if it's just a scouting report issue. The Twins pitch him a certain way, or he just has that extra motivation when he's playing a team that gave up on him early in his career. Not only at Target Field, but he's got pretty good numbers at Miller Park against Minnesota as well. Certain hitters just have certain good success against certain teams. Pitchers have success against one team or another. Really no rhyme or reason to it. On the flip side of it, there are hitters that just do not do all that well against certain teams.
Perez at first. Gomez trying to get him on the move. And a swing and a miss. Pelfrey had him in a corkscrew position at the plate. Gomez is out. A strikeout for Pelfrey, number 3.
Gomez with the big hack. There's that split-fingered fastball from Pelfrey. Not even close. Off the plate, down, and when that pitch starts, it's a very difficult pitch to pick up because it comes out of the hand like a fastball. You just choke the speed off of it with the grip, and that pitch goes down. He's got a good one.
One away for Jonathan Lucroy, the designated hitter today. Had a single his last time up.
Back in the 80s, that split-fingered fastball was the pitch that everybody seemed to want to throw, but it's awfully tough on the arm, the elbow, and a lot of surgeries because of that pitch. Pelfrey actually had elbow surgery. You see the grip. Tightens everything up when you have your fingers split apart like that, and that's how the injuries occur. So you don't see too many of them anymore.
Well, the Twins' new pitching coach, Neil Allen, is a big proponent of the changeup, and there are lots of ways to have or throw a change of pace pitch. A split grip change is one of them, and both starting pitchers use that version of it today. There's a strike to Lucroy. Check it out.
See, the more you spread those fingers apart, the middle finger and the index finger, the more everything tightens up. The muscles in the forearm, the elbow, and that's where the injuries occur. And Pelfrey getting the strikeout, but it's a tough pitch as opposed to the changeup you were just talking about. That's an easy pitch on the arm.
Lucroy back to the box. Got a chance to turn it here. It goes 1-4-3, and the inning is over. That was a heck of a play by Pelfrey. He did the dirty work and then turns it into an inning-ending double play. Brewers baseball this afternoon on Fox Sports Wisconsin, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. And we remind you that Thursday, June 18th, an American tradition comes to Fox and Fox Sports 1. Greatest golfers in the world converging on the Pacific Northwest. It's the 115th U.S. Open Championship. June 18th, Fox Sports 1 and Fox, and it's streaming live on Fox Sports Go. That'll be a lot of fun. Joe Buck, Greg Norman leading the coverage. And we ran into Jay Delsing in St. Louis. He'll be one of the commentators. Former PGA Tour player, current Champions Tour player. Brian Dozier leads off for the Twins. He is their leadoff hitter. Twins scored 2 last inning on 2 hits and a walk. RBIs from Rosario and Escobar. Back-to-back extra base hits. Sparkling day in Minnesota. Great weather. Had some rain last night, but played a day game yesterday, so the clouds were rolling in toward the end of the game. No problem, just enough to get the grass wet and keep it all green.
And it'll be in Pittsburgh by the time we get there.
With a much more force behind it.
That's okay.
This ballpark opened in 2010, and they've done a great job here. Downtown setting, a lot of fun. If you have not made this trip and you're a Brewers fan, it's always a fun thing to do as Dozier draws a walk, and it's back-to-back innings with a leadoff walk.
About 5.5 hours. Straight up 94.
It looks like water out there on that parking garage. It's actually a metal. It's the shimmy of the metal facing of it. It's like a chain link
little
fence,
mesh.
but it looks pretty cool, though.
Yeah. Nice effect.
It looks like
kind of covers the edge of the parking structure. A lot nicer to look at.
Looks like something out of a David Copperfield show in Las Vegas. Always enjoy coming here. We got some friends here, old friends. It's amazing how many ties there are between the Twins broadcasters and Brewers broadcasters. Pat Hughes spent some time here. Jim Powell. Corey Provis is the radio voice of the Minnesota Twins. A former partner of Bob Uecker. And I still say it to this day, has the best power alleys in the big leagues, Corey Provis.
And they're getting better every day. So his wife Dana, son Cooper today. Nice to see the family. Good friend Bert Blyleven next to us.
Dick Bremer. They do a good job here. Of course, Fox Sports Wisconsin connected to Fox Sports North, the home broadcaster of the Minnesota Twins. There they are. They look pretty excited about it.
They look good in their ties. They really do. There's Bert. He just realized he's on camera.
Not sure their statistician is awake right now. There's a liner to center and a base hit. So Suzuki, who struck out in the first inning, he singles, and now it's 2 on with nobody out. Fires stepping into the deep waters once again. This time he's got Joe Mauer coming up.
Yeah, they got the middle of the order coming up and not the bottom of the Twins batting order.
Fires has been on a really good run on the mound. And maybe his best effort of the year was when the Brewers needed him most, his last time out. Following that 17-inning game, and no real help in the bullpen, a lot of tired arms, and Fires went 6 innings back on Monday.
And a 1-0 win against the Cardinals. The start before that, he worked on 3 days rest.
A strike to Mauer. Fires has 2 wins this year. He beat the Cubs in Chicago on May 2nd. Then he beat the Cardinals in St. Louis this past Monday, June 1st. And those are his 2 better outings of the season. But in his last 6 starts, he has not allowed more than 2 earned runs in any start. Strike 2. Hits the edge again.
And again, doing all that in his last 6 without his big curveball. He's got a good changeup today. That's been a nice pitch for him.
Two on, nobody out. And fires, misses away. Now Mauer, as dangerous of a hitter as he is, he's not the same Joe Mauer that he was a few years ago, but he still has plenty of thump. He does ground into a lot of double plays, however. He has 10 of them. That leads the American League. Fires would love to see one on the ground here. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Mauer hits a little soft liner. Segura's got it, and a double play. So Dozier off the bag. Mauer hit it right on the nose, but Segura able to make the catch and an easy double play at the bag.
And if Suzuki got off a little bit further, that might have been a triple play. So good base running by Suzuki. That had triple play written all over it right here, right up the middle. Segura tags the bag at second, and Suzuki able to get back to first. That's worth another look. Would have been really worth another look had they got the man at first.
He's just getting greedy now, Rock.
Okay, it's all right. Time of year where you can start getting greedy, right?
Calling for triple plays. I'm in. We haven't had one in a while.
Right.
I think that would be Uni Betancourt, the last triple play we had.
But I mean, that would be a perfect example of how you would turn one.
Line drive, 2 runners off the bag. Give Suzuki credit for a heads-up base running maneuver. Torrey Hunter with a runner at first. You ever been a part of a triple play?
In the minor leagues.
Kind of a rare bird.
Yeah, in A-ball, I was a base runner. I had a base running blunder. And
you were the reason why there was a triple play?
Yeah, well, part of the reason.
1/3 of the reason why there was a triple play?
Right.
Hunter swings and hits it a mile high. Going to stay in the ballpark. Parra makes the catch, and Mike Fiers gets out of another mess. 2 on, nobody out, and Mauer at the plate. Twins cannot score.
Milwaukee Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Marshfield Clinic. Don't just live, shine. By Piggly Wiggly, the official supermarket of Fox Sports Wisconsin. And by Hupy and Abraham. 800-800-5678. Hupy and Abraham. Tell them you mean business.
Summer has arrived. Great to be at the old ballpark today. 2-0. It's actually a new ballpark. Twins have the lead. We are headed to the 4th. And Ryan Braun will start it against Mike Pelfrey.
Yeah, Metrodome's gone.
I drove by it on the way in. They've got the new football stadium being put together. Kind of has a spaceship kind of look to it.
More like a Viking ship, I think it's supposed to be.
Maybe that's it.
They are the Vikings. You get it?
That makes sense. Well, now it makes perfect sense.
It's going to be a nice football stadium. And for the time being, the Vikings are playing at the college ballpark.
University of Minnesota.
TCF Bank Stadium.
Wow.
Spent some time up here.
0-2 to Braun. And a defensive swing. Pelfrey, he is on his game early. The Brewers do have 3 hits. 2 of those were little flares. The hard hit ball of the day was Hernan Perez, who had a clean single last inning.
And Brawny's having a tough time laying off that pitch down and in. Suzuki setting up in there. That went off the plate. Not able to hold up. Still was a ball, but couldn't stop the bat. 4th strikeout for Pelfrey.
Here it comes. Here's Adam Lind. Little off speed is in there for a strike.
Vincent Pelfrey's only allowed 3 home runs and only 1 since his first start of the season. Gets a lot of ground ball outs. One of the best in the big leagues.
Pelfrey in his 3rd year with the Twins. That Tommy John surgery 2012. Had a dreadful season last season. It was an injury-filled season for him. He made just 5 starts. Did not pitch well. He's come back and has been very good for the Twins. He is a big reason why Minnesota is in first place to start play today. The Royals have gone cold in the American League Central. Kansas City lost again last night. Lost their 3rd straight. They've lost 8 of 10. The Twins have a 1-game lead despite losing back-to-back games to the Brewers. Lind hits it sharply up the middle, a base hit. So a hit an inning for Milwaukee. 4 hits for the game to go along with 4 Pelfrey strikeouts. And Lind is aboard. He continues to swing the bat well. He's got 5 hits in this series.
And Pelfrey stuck with a fastball after throwing one at 96. So he's got that in his arsenal. A little 2-seamer going away, and that's what we've been talking about with Lind. Stays right on. He try and pull that baseball. That's an easy out. Goes right with it back through the middle.
Aramis Ramirez, first ball swinging 96 with the fastball from Pelfrey.
Yeah, last 3 have been up there. Well, he's a big guy. He's big enough to be able to reach back and get that. 6'7", 240 pounds.
This time last year he was in rehab mode. He tried to pitch through the injury, required surgery. He's come back strong though. Had surgery June 10th of 2014.
And like a lot of players, pitchers, they're even stronger when they come back from that surgery.
On the corner, a strike. Another one at 96. And when you see his repertoire, if he's healthy, which is a key, and that's always been a challenge for him at least the last few years, if he's healthy, he is a legitimate ace of the pitching staff.
Yeah.
He's got the velocity, he's got movement, he's got the off-speed stuff. A swing and a miss. Ramirez bites. Down he goes. So Pelfrey now with 5 Ks, 2 in this inning. Brewers having a tough time laying off that off-speed pitch.
Yeah, that split-fingered fastball is an awfully difficult pitch to pick up and identify. See the split in the fingers, and this one goes down and goes away from Ramirez. I mean, depending on how you release it, the position of the wrist, that'll dictate how the pitch is going to move. We've seen some go away from lefties, and we've seen some go away from lefties or inside on lefties. Same grip, just different position of the wrist when you release the baseball.
Parra with a runner at first and 2 away. It's a good lesson in all of that for young pitchers. Sometimes you can get too bogged down with mechanics and grips, and not that that's not important, because it is, but at some point you can't get so locked up with mechanics you forget to be an athlete. You can't forget to cut it loose and have the loose wrist. We were talking to Bert Blyleven earlier. He had a great curveball, one of the best ever, because he had that snap, and there's a little bit of confidence involved in that, a little bit of trust, but also you got to be comfortable. Everything needs to be comfortable so you can snap those breaking balls off, or your fastball, and get that whip.
They learned his curveball from Sandy Koufax. Not a bad one to learn from.
Yeah,
but not everybody can do what Bert Blyleven did. Some guys, the physiology of who they are just doesn't allow you to do that.
There's a swing and a miss, and Pelfrey strikes out the side. So 6 Ks. The Brewers have a hit in each of the first 4 innings, but nothing on the board.
Over the Brewers here in the 4th inning, and before today's game, Craig Counsell setting his probables for the series starting tomorrow in Pittsburgh. So we look at our Miller Lite, what's on tap. Jimmy Nelson will get the start tomorrow, but Tuesday will be the debut of Taylor Youngman. He's coming up from AAA, the Sky Sox. He's coming with a 2-3 record, an ERA over 6, but Craig Counsell saying he's been pitching well over his last 3-4 starts. He says he's been a little bit inconsistent in the minors, but he's been able to perform lately. He's a ground ball pitcher with a good curveball, and he's hoping that he's got the weapons to get the big league outs and that he'll respond on the big stage.
And he is a former first rounder, and you're hoping to spark a little bit there and get him out of Colorado Springs, which is a tough place to pitch, and he has shown better form here recently. And we congratulate Taylor Youngman. It's always something special to make a major league debut. We'll have yet another one on Tuesday. They never get old.
Yeah, first 2 that came up did pretty well.
I got to tell you, it is a really historic thing for me with Youngman coming up. He's from my hometown. This is a really small town in Texas, and there are going to be 3 of us with the Brewers. Youngman, me, and Corey Knebel.
And we're going to have to suffer through that.
Yes, it's going to be a Georgetown, Texas fest. Rosario grounds out.
Can't wait.
If only we could get Mason Crosby, the Packers kicker, to town. He's from our high school as well.
Should bring in the whole family is what you should do.
You know, speaking of my brother Mike, he's going to be in Kansas City scouting. So I feel like there's going to be a picture necessary. We're going to need you to take it.
I'll take it. I'm your man.
It's very exciting. Escobar swinging a foul tip.
Hey, we saw Taylor Youngman in spring training. Big guy. Kind of a Mike Pelfrey type guy. Doesn't throw hard. Throws across his body a little bit. There's Knable.
Ball to strike on Eduardo Escobar. Twins scored 2 in the second inning. Escobar drove in the second run. He had a triple. And a swing and a miss. Big cut. How many guys from your high school made it to the big leagues? Other than yourself?
While I was there.
You have a lot of guys from your high school? I think
just one. Me.
That's it?
Yeah. Well, I was the first graduating class in my high school. Not that anybody cares about that. But
I do.
We didn't have a long history.
Oh, really?
I was the first. There's Corey. In and amongst all that.
Yeah.
Is that cold down there?
Well, he's a Texas kid. You know, he's got to stay warm. He seems pretty focused on what's happening on the field right now. He's getting his game face on. Both Knable and Youngman both pitched at the University of Texas as well. Longhorns.
It's going to be a big day for you Tuesday, isn't it?
It's a little town, man.
Okay. I understand your enthusiasm.
I think the mayor's coming.
I'm just going to stay out of the way.
Not even sure who the mayor is.
I'll take the picture and then take off.
We're going to need you to do a few other things.
Get drinks, food.
You know, Corey Knable, he makes his own beer. You know, he's a home brewer. I mean, there might be a little something in it for you. That's what I'm saying. You'd fit right in our hometown, Rock. There's a swing and a miss, and fires. Strikes out Escobar. 2 outs in the inning.
Perfect time for a promo. Hey, this summer, every Friday is a free T-shirt Friday. All fans at Miller Park to see the Brewers take on the Nationals. This Friday, June 12th, we'll get a retro Brewers T-shirt courtesy of Hupy and Abraham. Call 414-902-4000. Go to brewers.com for tickets. I know your dad continues. He's been adamant about Kate and I coming to Austin.
Yeah,
not so much Georgetown.
He's in the big city.
Yeah.
He's city folk. In Austin, the capital. Yeah. Georgetown's more your speed. You know, in Georgetown we grew up and there's just a lot of fun things going on there. You know, a lot of things to shoot at. Just right up your speed.
Yeah, can't wait.
Tin cans and all kind of vermin. Lots of open spaces.
I imagine you're a pretty good shot, right?
Yeah. I was thinking about going pro. Speaking of good shots, your son Billy continues to climb the ranks and just very impressive career in the military he is putting together.
He really loves it. He's in Washington State, Fort Lewis, a sergeant right now. He's going to the promotion board the end of the month. Very proud of him.
Wish him the best.
Yep.
Serving our country, and
he loves every minute of it.
He's great at what he does, and he loves what he does. He's much appreciated.
Yeah, he shoots the .50 caliber machine gun on top of a striker. It's an assault vehicle. And yeah, he's done well.
He's welcome to come too. 3-2 hit hard, and a base hit gets past Perez. So Eduardo Nunez singles. Fiers trying to make it a 3-up, 3-down inning, but Nunez has other ideas. And the Twins with their 4th hit.
Yeah, stays on this one nicely as well. Fastball up, and Nunez is able to hit it hard just out of the reach of Perez. I think Perez thought he might have had it in the glove. Kind of short-armed it a little bit, preparing himself to make a throw.
Which brings up Aaron Hicks. And he shoots one through the hole. A base hit. Nunez on his way to 3rd. The Twins with runners at the corners here. A 2-out rally brewing for Minnesota. This is the 2nd hit of the series for Hicks.
Seems like the Twins have had opportunities in every inning but the 1st. 2nd inning, Twins had a man in 3rd, nobody out, not able to score any further. They did get 2 runs that inning. 1st and 2nd, nobody out last inning, and threatening again. Pitch count starting to climb on Mike Fiers.
.65 pitches as we play in the 4th. It's kind of been the story for Fiers. It's one of the reasons why he hasn't been able to go deep into games. Going 6 innings in his last start was one of his longer starts of the year. 1st and 3rd with 2 away for Danny Santana. It's going to be a big few weeks here for Santana. He's not swinging the bat all that well. Won the opening day job at the shortstop position. Slick fielding defender. But you got to carry your weight offensively. Twins do have some other options there. They're hoping Santana can break out of it. They need him. It is a very hard game, especially for a young player, and there are waves of success and failure, and how you come through those psychologically are usually what separates those who stay for a long time and are productive and those who are out quickly.
Yeah, you can't dwell on the negative in this game. Of course, you can't dwell on the positive too much either. I mean, you can't get too excited when things are going well. This game will bite you. Once you think you have it licked, the game comes back to haunt you. Santana having a difficult time offensively, and I think sometimes taking it into the field. He's been committing a number of errors this year.
Has 12 of them for the Twins this season. Fiers has him in a hole, 0-2. Twins have had a number of opportunities thus far today, and a swing and a miss. Fiers pounding the glove, gets a strikeout and escapes another jam. 2 stranded, 2-0 Twins. We go to the 5th. Twins head to the top of the fifth inning. Gene Segura will lead off. He's in our Lowe's Never Stop Improving 9-game hitting streak for Segura. He's got 15 hits during that streak. He has come back now 8 games. This is his 9th game since returning from the disabled list. That streak actually started the game he was injured when he broke his pinky finger. Since he's come back from the disabled list, he's hitting at a .389 clip. 8 games prior to this one today. Brewers need some base runners. They've had a man on in each of the first 4 innings. All singles today for Milwaukee. One of those base runners wiped out with a double play. So they have stranded 3. 4 hits. Pelfrey has 6 strikeouts. Little tapper. Going to be a tough play if it stays fair. Pelfrey, no chance. That's a great play by Mauer. Otherwise, Segura is standing at second base. That'll be an infield hit for Gene Segura. His hitting streak is now at 10.
Just trying to put the ball in play and just making contact right now against Pelfrey. The way he's been throwing that splitter, and I think that's what that was. A high chopper, and there's no chance to get Segura at first base.
Mauer saves an error.
The 3rd time the Brewers have had their leadoff hitter on.
5 hits, all singles. Here is Maldonado. Swung at the first pitch his last time up. He flew out to deep center.
I got some information on my high school. You know, our buddy Rick Ramirez, who back at home watching the game and digging into the computer. Kevin Barry pitched for the Braves. Short period of time. 2006, 2007 went to my high school.
All right. What high school was that?
West Windsor Plainsboro High School in New Jersey. So there you go. Thanks, Rick.
Just you and Kevin. Have they retired your number or named the baseball field after you or anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, they should.
You're right. They should.
They should.
Because if they name the field after me, that means I probably have to give them some money.
Well, that would be nice. I mean, it'd be something you might consider. There's only so many mason jars you can stuff all that money in and bury it in the backyard.
Yeah.
So
don't know where to put it.
Bill Schroeder Field or Rock Park. It's got a nice ring to it.
It does, doesn't it? Maybe someday.
One and 2 to Maldonado. 2-2 now. Brewers catcher has 2 walk-off moments this year. Both on Sundays. He had his first one on Mother's Day with his mother in attendance. And then the walk-off a week ago today, last Sunday, against the Diamondbacks. Otherwise, we might still be playing that game. That was in the 17th inning. On the ground, chance for 2. Santana to Dozier to Mauer. Easy as it gets.
And both of the double plays turned by the Twins have been room service double plays. Lucroy bounced into a 1-4-3. And now a 6-4-3 by Maldonado. There's that split-fingered fastball, and that's why he gets so many ground balls. Watch that pitch go down. Those are the ones you want to swing at, though, the ones that start up around the belt. Maldonado beats it into the ground and rolls into a double play.
There's a strike to Perez. 2 double plays today for Pelfrey against the Brewer lineup. Twins have lined into a double play. Mauer into center, hit hard, but Hicks is there. That had a knuckler effect. And Hicks did a good job to make the catch. Tough luck for Perez. Quick inning for Pelfrey. Still 2-0. Candidate for Baby of the Year right there. Pretty in pink on a sunny Sunday afternoon in Minneapolis. Carsoup.com trivia question: which former Brewers pitcher surrendered Molitor's final hit September 27, 1998 versus Cleveland? So he was a former Brewer playing for Cleveland at the time against Minnesota. Does that all make sense?
It does.
Stew on that one for a little bit. We'll have the answer for you shortly. There's a swing and a long drive. Is it fair or foul? Wow, that is way foul, but that is way deep as well. Brian Dozier.
That ball about neck high, too. He just tomahawked that one. Bucking a stiff breeze.
That was impressive. That is a long, loud strike, but there aren't many baseballs that end up there.
Goes right back up there. Not a big guy, boy, but he had packed some punch in that bat.
Hit a homer yesterday. Has 11 home runs. He's one of the more productive second basemen in the big leagues. Brian Dozier trying to carry on the tradition of a Ryne Sandberg and a Chase Utley. Heavy hitting second baseman. Fiers trying to stay upstairs on Dozier. That one is inside. A changeup misses. Twins scored 2 in the second. Fiers got out of a jam in that inning. Got out of a jam in the third. 2 on, nobody out. And then had 2 on and 2 out last inning and got out of it. Could be worse for Fiers. And judging by Fiers' reaction after that last inning, that's pretty impressive that he slaps the glove and understands that that could be a key to the rest of his day.
Yeah, last 2 innings he stranded men in scoring position.
Dozier chases another one high and fouls it back.
Actually, last 3 innings, second inning, the Twins already had 2 runs in, man at third, nobody out, and they were not able to score. Kept it at 2-0. It's been a bit of a struggle today for Mike Fiers. Needs a quick inning.
Full count. Brian Dozier is hitting foul balls in very unusual places for a right-handed hitter. I mean, those last 2 foul balls you just rarely see from a right-handed batter in that section.
Over the Brewers dugout, you mean?
Yeah. Like, and up and over the Brewers dugout.
A little bit out in front.
Payoff pitch coming. Fouled another one off.
When the guy's doing that, I mean, pulling the ball that much, I mean, he's really opened himself up for a changeup. Fiers has tried to throw a couple of them, but Dozier's been able to hold off him, not swinging. He's thrown 2 changeups, 3 changeups now in this sequence. Pitch number 10 coming up.
Another 3-2 pitch. And it's a hot one. Took a bad hop up and over Ramirez. And Dozier an aggressive turn. See how they score that. That could easily go as a single. That took a wicked hop and hit the lip of the grass.
Yeah, I can't see that being an error. This one almost undressing Aramis Ramirez. Check it out. Bingo goes straight up on him. Had he got in front of that, he might have needed some dental work. That ball was hit like a bullet.
And it will be a hit. Dozier with his first hit, second time on base after a long battle at the plate. Kurt Suzuki now. 1 out of 2 today. He had a single to center his last time up. Suzuki hoping he found a home here in the Twin Cities. Always been a terrific defender. Pitchers love throwing to him. Went from the A's to the Nationals. He's been an all-star. He was an all-star last year with the Twins. He went from the A's to the Nationals, then went back to Oakland 2 years ago. He signed a deal with the Twins. He's now in his 2nd year. Signed a 2-year deal with Minnesota. Enjoys Target Field. And they like him. Pitchers love him.
Yeah, great defensive catcher.
He lines one foul.
And he's been swinging the bat pretty well. Average near 250.
For the most part in his career, he'd been a guy that hit sub 250. But last year was his best offensive year of his career. He had 288. Doesn't hit for a whole lot of power. A few years there in Oakland, he was hitting a bunch of home runs. Had a 15-homer season back in 09. But the last few years, very little power to speak of. Hit just 3 home runs last year.
He's a good contact hitter. Almost as many walks as strikeouts. Puts the ball in play. Those are not a big threat to steal. He's got 3.
One ball, 2 strikes. A matchup of managers managing their hometown teams, Counsell and Molitor. Counsell very much looked up to Paul Molitor, like most kids growing up in Wisconsin. Counsell had a little bit different perspective, though. His father, John, was a member of the Brewers front office at the time, worked in the community relations department, and John was actually a minor league player with the Twins. So their families became close. Runner goes. Suzuki fouls it off, and he clocked Maldonado on his follow-through. Staggered him a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. That's the advantage. You're having that helmet that he uses, that hockey-style helmet. You get some protection on the side of your face and on the back of your head. There you go. You see that protection down there around the shoulder that you don't have with that conventional mask.
No big deal.
Catcher to catcher. You're talking about Craig Counsell. A lot of kids in Milwaukee looking up to Molitor. So did a lot of Molitor's teammates.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't just young kids. And the way he and Robin went about their business every day.
Counsell spent a lot of time at County Stadium as a kid, and he had a chance to get close to the Molitor family through his dad, and Paul Molitor and Robin Yount always welcomed Craig Counsell in. Even as a young kid, he was on the field. He was always a welcome guest in the clubhouse. And what a perspective, though, for a 10, 12, 14-year-old to have that.
Yeah.
To have that opportunity around 2 great players like that. Counsell never in his wildest dreams imagine he'd be on a level playing ground as managers, or as a manager against Molitor. Runner goes again. Suzuki hits it hard to center, but Gomez is there. And the first out of the inning. And Sophia has been reporting on the Council Molitor connection all weekend, and it is indeed a special one, Sophia.
Yeah, it is, and he talked about those stories. He said, you know, when you're a 10, 12-year-old kid in a big league clubhouse, and he said for every kid in Milwaukee, he said anytime you played baseball, you wanted to wear number 4 or you wanted to wear number 19, and he said even in the big leagues that carried over. He wore number 4 with the Diamondbacks because of Paul Molitor. So he said it's, you know, definitely a unique relationship, and he said it's just such a cool weekend for him this weekend to see him on the other side of the dugout.
And both of them pretty much in the same boat. I mean, first-year managers, never have managed before, and relying heavily on their respective coaching staffs right now.
Very similar styles too. It's a no-nonsense kind of presentation. No nonsense, no excuses. And I think both managers are more than willing, more than happy to allow the players, the veteran players in the clubhouse, dictate what goes on there. Molitor has a few more veteran players to rely on, specifically with Torrey Hunter. I mean, that's a guy that you don't mind turning over a clubhouse to.
A lot of teams have turned the clubhouse over to Torrey Hunter, for sure. I mean, he's one of the throwback guys. You don't see a lot of guys like Hunter, you know, embracing that responsibility these days. It's a rare commodity.
Joe Mauer is up with a runner at first and one away. He lined into a double play his last time up. I mean, if you put Dave Winfield in the ballpark today, you'd have 3 of the favorite St. Paul sons in Molitor, Dave Winfield, and Joe Mauer. That's about the start and the end of the list for baseball greats. The first 2, Molitor and Winfield, are in the Hall of Fame. It looked like Mauer was on his way to a Hall of Fame career, but things have leveled off for him. He won 3 batting titles his first 6 years in the big leagues.
Had a 28 home run season and really has never come close to that since.
Twins had a lethal lineup back in those days. The year that Mauer hit 28 homers was 09. Won a batting title that year, hit 365. He'll draw a walk. 2 on, 1 out. And here comes Torrey Hunter.
Hey, today's time of the game winner, Georgia's Gaslight Inn in Oshkosh, one of my favorite towns, Oshkosh. If they call the Brewers in the next 24 hours, they get 40 Miller Lite beer pen tickets to a Brewers home game. This offer courtesy of the Tavern Lake of Wisconsin and Miller Lite. Lake Winnebago up there, Lake Poygan, the Fox River, good fishing up there.
Pitching coach Rick Kranitz with a visit with Fires, trying to get him through this 5th inning. There is activity in the Brewers bullpen now. And it's putting in extra work trying to get this staff turned around. Neil Kotz is the left-hander in the pen.
A little more emphasis on the starting pitching with Will Smith serving his suspension.
This is day 3 of Smith's suspension. The Brewers play with a 24-man roster while he's out. His suspension will end at the beginning of the next homestand for the Brewers. 6-game suspension. Reduced from 8 for Smith. Dangerous bat at the plate. Torrey Hunter's had a great season. Perhaps an all-star campaign. He would be 40 by the time the All-Star game comes around. Hunter is among the league leaders in RBIs. Currently 9th in the American League. Mark Teixeira leads the league with 45. Yankees won again today, by the way. Teixeira and the Yankees. I think they've won now 6 straight. CC Sabathia pitched today. Actually got ejected today. There's a liner, a base hit. Parra's got it on a hop to hold the runner at third. And the throw is a good one. Torrey Hunter singles, and the Twins have him loaded here with 1 out.
And the Gerardo Parra difference out there in the outfield. I mean, his reputation is all over baseball. Even the Twins hold him up at third base. Dozier not able to score. That cut fastball by Mike Fiers stayed right down the middle of the plate, and Torrey Hunter hits it hard into left field. Hit too hard on one hop to allow Dozier to score.
And Counsell's on his way out to make the move. So Fiers is done. Cannot get through 5. With the left-hander Rosario coming up. Neil Kotz is coming in. Fiers out. 4 1/3 today in Minneapolis. Get through 5, really grinded away today. He's only allowed 2 runs. The Brewers are certainly in this game, but he's going to have to turn it over to his bullpen to try to clean up a bases loaded mess here in the 5th. Marshfield Clinic leaders in relief. The Brewers since May 30th with the best earned run average in the big leagues.
About a week, they've allowed only 2 earned runs over their last 31 1/3 innings. Outstanding work by the guys out there in the pen, and Neil Kotz has been throwing the baseball well. 24th appearance for Kotz. Continues to get that ERA lower and lower every time out. Last pitched on Wednesday against the Cardinals and tossed a scoreless inning.
Big spot here. 2-0 Twins, bases loaded, 1 out. Here is Eddie Rosario, who doubled in a run back in the 2nd. Lefty on lefty matchup. And he's swinging at the first pitch, and that cut fastball at Kotz, that pitch that just at the last moment breaks away from a left-handed hitter. Up the ladder, chased it. 0-2 the count. A little over anxious at the plate is Eddie Rosario.
And this is where that Kotz slider really comes into play. Can afford to be a little bit off the outside corner here. You don't have to throw a strike.
Put it where he wanted to. Rosario didn't bite on it. So Rosario this year is 6 for 19 against left-handed pitching. Counsell taking a chance that his lefty is a little different. And it's 2-2 now.
And now you got to come in for a strike. You don't want to go 3-2. A couple of sliders off the outside corner for Neil Kotz.
Got him. Kotz strikes out Rosario.
And this is where the Twins have really had a difficult time in this series. They've been able to set the table pretty regularly, but coming up with that big hit has been an issue for them. Now 1 out, bases loaded, and Paul Molitor sees one of his guys punch out again. That was a pitch that Kotz threw up in the zone. Looked like the cutter, not where he wanted it. He wanted that pitch down.
So 2 men are out. Bases still loaded. Here is Escobar, who drove in a run with a triple in the 2nd inning. In there, a strike. Eduardo Escobar, switch hitting left fielder. Counsell preferring to have him hit right-handed. And the 35-year-old Neil Kotz has him in an 0-2 count with 2 away.
And Craig Counsell figuring this is a do or die situation. This could be the ball game this inning. Using his only left-hander in the bullpen.
Here's the 0-2 and a little check swing. Thought about it, able to hold it up.
And when you have one lefty out in your pen, you have to be very careful when you use him. And this is an early appearance for Kotz, 5th inning. But he's forced to do it given the situation.
Kotz worked 2 innings in that 17-inning game last Sunday. Here's the pitch. Popped him up foul. Kotz had a rough start to the season, but he has settled in now, and he's not just a matchup pitcher recently. 6 consecutive scoreless outings for Neil Kotz. And in that 17-inning game last Sunday, went 2 innings with 3 strikeouts.
Well, he's been able to keep the baseball in the ballpark as of late. Early on, he was giving up a lot of home runs.
See what he does here. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and a swing and a miss. He struck him out. The Twins leave the bases loaded. How about that job by Neil Kotz? Back-to-back punch-outs. Rosario and then Escobar. And the Twins leave them loaded. They've left 7 men on base today. It's still 2-0 Minnesota. The Brew Crew coming to bat. fortunate to still be in this game. It's just 2-0. The Twins have left 7 men on through the first 5 innings. At the top of the 6th, how about our Blaine's Farm and Fleet down on the farm? The Biloxi Shuckers. They opened their home ballpark. They finally got off the road. And Rock, it was a 14-inning walk-off win for the Shuckers. Congratulations. They finally got a home game, and they keep winning. They're in first place in their division of the Southern League.
That's really amazing, though. I mean, all those road games and how well they've done in first place. What was that, 13 games over 500? I mean, that's incredible.
50, I think it was, when it was all said and done, a 54-game road trip to start the year. Brand new ballpark, looks beautiful. Saw some images of it online on Twitter, and congratulations. Gomez drops a bunt foul. Trying to bunt his way on.
Almost hit him. He showed bunt. The ball was coming in on him. That two-seam fastball from Pelfrey. Had he not bunted it, it might have hit him.
This is going to be a game today. If the Brewers come back and win this game, this could be one of those defining games for the Twins this year. You never know how the season's going to go, but they've had a number of chances to put this game away, and they haven't been able to take advantage.
You know, this entire series, they've had opportunities that they've let go away. Men on base. You saw it yesterday, and even the first game of the series.
Twins had 2 on, nobody out in the 3rd, couldn't score. 2 on, 2 out in the 4th, did not score. Bases loaded, 1 out in the 5th, did not score. Full count to Gomez, setting up inside. Gomez bounces one to second. Nice easy hop for Dozier, and there is the first out. And we check in with Sophia with Jonathan Lucroy coming up.
Craig Counsell talking about what a job Lucroy has done in his first week back from the disabled list, and he said we've really seen the Lucroy that we saw last year, and he said it really helps extend this lineup. He said Luke is such a tough out, it puts pressure on the opposing pitcher. He said it with the quality and consistency of his at-bats. It's another good hitter that they get in the middle of the lineup. So he said, you know, just getting Lucroy back in there, they missed him so much, and it just lengthens their lineup with Gomez at the top, and then you throw in Braun, Lind. It really puts a lot of pressure on the opposing pitcher.
And you get a very disciplined hitter at the top of the order. And the Brewers are known for being free swingers, and you got to be very careful only in the count. Lucroy is one of those guys that will work the count, and he will shoot the ball to the opposite field. Handles the bat well. Got off to a horrible start this year. Actually hit into some bad luck. Certainly it didn't feel as bad at the plate as his numbers would indicate, but the numbers are what they are, and he's starting to get that batting average. Starting to head it north, slowly but surely.
At the plate today, 1 out of 2, courtesy of Wendy's. And a strike from Pelfrey. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Lucroy. Pelfrey has given up exactly 1 hit in each of the first 5 innings. He's eliminated 2 of those base runners with double plays. The Brewers have left 3.
Brewers have not had a man reach second base.
Lucroy on the ground. It's gobbled up by Nunez. Out number 2. Ryan Braun hit his 13th home run of the year yesterday in the first inning. Dead central. Powerball home run count for Ryan Braun. He is among league leaders in that category. Giancarlo Stanton and Bryce Harper at the top of the list. Bryce Harper hit number 19 yesterday. Braun rifles one into left center. That's a base hit. Extra bases here for Braun on his way to second, and he's in with a double. A 2-out double for Braun.
Yeah, there's a man at second base for the Crew, and a hot hitter coming up. Well, Braun picking on the first pitch, not messing around. Pelfrey's been tough on him in his first 2 at bats. Able to get one up in the zone. That's what you need to do with Pelfrey early in the count. Make him get it up in the strike zone, and Braun able to find the gap with it, and a 2-out double.
First hit of the day for Braun. The Brewers now have 6 hits. Trying to put multiple hits together in an inning. Here is Adam Lind. And after all of the traffic the Twins have had, the Brewers have a guy at the plate that could tie this thing up with one swing of the bat. Lind drove in 6 runs, hit a 3-run homer on Friday night. He's second on the club in homers with 9. Singled his last time up.
Pelfrey's been working him away with the fastball and the splitter down in the strike zone. So if Lind is going to do some damage here, it's probably going to have to be into center or left. I doubt Pelfrey's going to give him anything to pull unless he makes a mistake.
Strike. Fastball at 94. Good velocity after the changeup. 2 balls and a strike. That one jumping into the mid of Suzuki. Braun ready to run at second. Pelfrey from the stretch. Down in the dirt, gets away, and on his way to third goes Braun. We'll see how they score that. Most likely a wild pitch.
In the dirt, looked like a splitter, and Suzuki not able to shift over and block it. That ball hits the dirt. Actually, it looked like it hit the umpire's leg, didn't it?
I think you're right. It will go as a wild pitch. Pelfrey gave up 2 home runs in his first start of the year against the White Sox. He's only given up 1 since. He's not allowed a home run in his last 3 starts. Brewers down 2-0. Here's a 3-1 pitch. Ball 4. Lind is aboard. First time today the Brewers have had 2 base runners in an inning.
And Pelfrey very careful to Adam Lind. If I didn't know any better, he might have been pitching around him to get to Ramirez.
Big spot for Ramirez. He's been pretty quiet on this road trip. His average down to 206.
Looking for his first hit in this series. Actually got a hit in the second inning.
He is 0 for, check it, 1 for 18 on this road trip. Had been 0 for 16 until that single in the second. That was a leadoff single. Ramirez never moved off first base. Pelfrey retired the next 3 hitters. On the ground to third, Nunez goes to second, and the inning is over. And it is the Brewers that leave a few stranded. 2 left on. 2-0 Minnesota. Moment, Neil Kotz, he's in it, courtesy of the Marshfield Clinic. Bases loaded, 1 out. Not just 1 strikeout, but 2. And the inning ends with the Twins stranding them full, keeping the game at 2-0. Kotz will return for the 6th inning. The Twins are down at the bottom of their order. They've got Nunez leading off, and then a couple of switch hitters that I think Counsell would prefer to have hit right-handed.
Yeah, that fastball that cuts through to strike out Escobar had something on it. That's some zip. So Kotz is throwing the baseball very well as the season goes on after a slow start.
Eduardo Nunez singled his last time up. Neil Kotz trying to keep his career alive. He's been a great story. Had major hip problems, a hip surgery, ended up having an infection based on the surgery. Many felt he would not ever pitch in the major leagues again or pitch it at any level. Pop up, foul territory. Adam Lind will make the call and the catch. So Nunez is out. And the first man retired for Kotz. He's got 3 in a row now. Ten seasons in the big leagues. Resurfaced a couple of years ago in Texas.
Have left arm will travel, right? If you have a young kid out there, tie his right arm behind his back and just have him start throwing a baseball. Lefties have a way of hanging around a while. Twins have one out in their bullpen. Bullpen coach Eddie Guardado.
Everyday Eddie.
Always looking for lefties.
A push bunt attempt by Hicks. He fouls it back.
How old was Jesse Orozco when he finally retired, right? Mid-40s.
That's a great name. Question. You got me intrigued. I believe, yeah, just checking Baseball Reference here. He was 46 years of age. I was going to say 45, but he even pitched longer than I thought.
Yeah.
46 in 03. Pitched from 1979 to 2003. 24 years.
Teams always need left-handers to get that lefty out late in the game. There's Eddie.
Eddie had a good long career himself. The Pelfrey splitter that he throws was taught to him by Guardado. You pick up a few things when you play as long as Eddie did.
Right. And you know, Jack Morris hanging around once in a while is not going to hurt you either.
That's the other in our St. Paul grouping.
Right.
That I failed to mention. Not in the Hall of Fame, but
weren't too many better than Jack Morris in his heyday.
Pitch to the score as opposed to the ERA. Had some of the great clutch postseason moments. That matchup with John Smoltz.
Yeah, 10 innings in the World Series.
It's one of the greatest games ever. 1991, and Morris was Smoltz's idol growing up, and then to have a chance to pitch to him. Of course, Smoltz growing up in Michigan, watching Jack Morris with the Tigers, then having a chance to pitch against him in '91. Epic game. Full count in the dirt. Hicks draws the walk.
Hey, reserve your spot at Miller Park Saturday, June 13th, as the Brewers take on the Nationals, and popular rock band OAR performs all of their biggest hits in a free post-game concert presented by Pick and Save. For tickets, visit brewers.com/concerts. That's next Saturday, coming up already.
Following the Washington Nationals game. Is that right?
Yeah.
Nationals in town Thursday through Sunday, with one of the game's biggest attractions, Bryce Harper. Santana, another switch hitter.
That's a 3:10 start at Miller Park.
Oh, on a Sunday.
Yeah, Saturday.
Saturday. What time's Sunday's game?
Probably 1:10.
1 o'clock?
Yeah. You want me to look it up?
Nah, that's okay. We'll get to it next time. We got a lot of baseball to be played between now and then. 1:10 would make sense.
It is 1:10.
Saturday, it keeps you on your toes a little bit. Sometimes they start at 6, sometimes they start at 3. This one's at 3. To avoid the national TV window, I'm guessing.
.310 ordinarily is when network Brian Anderson pops up, right? That's what confused me. I thought it was going to be a network game at that time.
You thought you were going to be off.
Yeah, I thought it was an off day for Fox Sports Wisconsin.
You had the boat gassed up and everything. You'll be there. A swing and a base hit on an 0-2 pitch. Danny Santana singles to right, and the two guys that have struggled the most in this Twins lineup, Hicks and Santana, come up with a walk and a single, and now 2 on for the top of the order, and Neil Kotz.
Now this time Santana able to wait back. You can see where Maldonado's setting up. He's setting up inside. Looked like Kotz put it there, but Santana just out of the reach of Perez at second base.
It's going to be the end of the line for Kotz. Counsell has a big power hitter coming up in Brian Dozier and wants to make sure he has the matchup he wants. Michael Blazek coming on the pitch. We'll set up his numbers when we continue.
Milwaukee Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time. And by the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly.
Well, it has been a battle today for the Brew Crew in this border battle. Brewers Twins, a lot of Brewers fans making the trek to downtown Minneapolis. Twins lead 2-0. The game feels a lot different than that. Neil Kotz is out. He'll exit with 2 on that are his responsibility. And Rock, the Twins have had a runner in scoring position each of the last 5 innings, but they've only scored twice, and now it's going to be up to Michael Blazek to try to get through this 6th inning.
Well, the Brewers, Friars and Kotz have been able to make their big pitches when they needed them most, and now Blazek needs to do that. Last pitch against the Cardinals in St. Louis on Tuesday, tossed a scoreless inning. Blazek named the Brewers pitcher of the month for April and May, so he's off to a good start this year.
Dangerous hitter at the plate, Brian Dozier, the league leader in extra base hits. There's a breaking ball strike. Got a friendly call from home plate umpire Brian Knight.
Yeah, didn't want that curveball there. Got away with it.
11 homers for Dozier, hit number 11 here last night or yesterday afternoon. It's also the American League leader in runs scored. 2 on, 1 out. And Dozier pops this one up a mile high in the infield. Infield fly rule. Perez makes a catch. That's a big out for Michael Blazek.
Well, and that's the way it's going for this Twins offense. Dozier chasing a pitch out of the zone. Blazek with that good velocity, able to get Dozier underneath.
That'll leave it up to Kurt Suzuki. Suzuki is 1 for 3. Hit one sharply his last time up, but he lined out. His base hit was hit well back in the 3rd inning. Byers went 4 1/3. Kotz got through the 5th and got 1 out here in the 6th inning. 1 complete inning for Kotz with a couple of Ks. Byers giving up 2 earned runs in 4 1/3, and now Blazek hoping to get the Brewers back to the plate, down just 2. Pelfrey's gone the distance for the Twins. He has 6 shutout innings with 6 strikeouts. In the air, right center. Gomez on the run. Gomez makes the catch. The inning is over. Carlos Gomez with a great running catch in the gap. Twins strand 2 more. They've left 9 men on base.
Baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Carlos Gomez coming in after a terrific catch out in center field to end the 6th. The Twins do have a 2-0 lead here. But the Milwaukee Brewers Community Involvement Initiative, known as the Community Achievers Award, will recognize residents throughout the state of Wisconsin each month during the season for displaying extraordinary efforts in their community. All adults and school-aged children throughout the state of Wisconsin are eligible to participate in the Community Achievers Program.
All right, Sophia, thanks. She's got her sunscreen on. She's very sun smart today in that third base dugout. Beautiful day here in Minneapolis on a sunny Sunday. Mike Pelfrey back to work. The Brewers are very fortunate to be within 2 runs. How about that catch by Gomez? Not sure he knew how many outs there were after he made that catch. He fired it into the infield, but what a special play. Full throttle, 5th gear, and Gomez runs it down, and the Twins strand 2 more.
Just takes such a good angle on that baseball and made it look relatively easy with his good speed.
Gerardo Parra with a base hit to start the 7th inning. Brewers now have 7 hits. Nothing to show for it thus far.
Still another leadoff base runner for Milwaukee. The thing about Pelfrey, he's got that double play ability with all the ground balls that he gets.
Here is Segura. Reached on an infield hit in the 5th to extend his hitting streak to 10 in a row. Pelfrey, he's looked good. He's given up some hits, but he's shown very good stuff in this game. He's got a fastball that's hit 96 a few times, consistently around 93. And that split change he throws.
And when the Twins needed a long start, he's giving it to him. Pitch count's in good shape, only 85.
"31 years of age, played his college ball at Wichita State." Mike Pelfrey. Celebrating the 10th anniversary of his selection in the Major League Baseball first-year player draft. It's always a great moment in a player's career. Crossing over from amateur to professional, Segura fouls it away. And that meant big dollars for Pelfrey. He went in the first round, 9th overall pick.
Something you think about and dream about from the day you pick up a baseball. Being a big leaguer, playing in the pros. It's coming up for some kids. Coming up here, and the draft's coming right up.
Yeah, this week. Arizona Diamondbacks have the first pick. A lot of speculation on who they'll go with. 1-2. Segura fouls it away. And then there are players like Segura, those from Latin America. They're not part of the draft. Many are hoping to get that changed and have a worldwide draft. Much different process to get a player from the Dominican Republic or Venezuela signed. It's almost like college recruiting.
Negotiating, not necessarily just with the player. A lot goes into it.
Yeah, there's always a middleman or 2 or 3 or 100. Boscones. Segura signed as a 16-year-old. Most players who have shown talent, baseball talent, sign as teenagers, 16 or 17 years of age.
But at some point you figure they're going to have to figure something out. Kids from Latin America, Pacific Rim, Cuba now. Figure out ways to incorporate them in the draft.
Cuban players, much like Japanese players, that are essentially available as free agents right away. Here's a 1-2. Segura hits that one hard to center. Hicks has got it for the out. That's a couple the Brewers have lined out to their center fielder. Hit him right on the nose. Well, in our Jimmy John's delivery of the game, hard to argue with Mike Pelfrey and his effort today. He's had the Brewers tied up. He has allowed 7 hits, but he is pitching with ease today for Minnesota.
Coming off a 1-0 loss at the hands of the Red Sox, pitching a dandy here today. And the Brewers have not been able to muster more than 1 hit in an inning.
Last inning was the first inning the Brewers had 2 on in an inning with a single and a walk. But those came with 2 outs. I beg your pardon, a double and a walk. The double by Braun. Pelfrey facing Maldonado. Maldonado is 0 for 2. He bounced into a 6-4-3 double play in the 5th. One swing away from tying this game up. But Pelfrey doesn't give up many.
Maldonado had made pretty good wood his first time up. Took Hicks deep into center field. See how deep Escobar is out in left.
Two and nothing the count on Maldonado. Parra at first. 2-1. Twins will welcome in the Royals next. Kansas City coming here tomorrow. That'll be a battle of the top 2 teams in the American League Central Division. Paul Molitor has had his Twins in first for about a week. Kansas City's a game back to start play today. They are hosting Texas today. They're all tied at 3 in the 8th inning in Kansas City. Brewers are headed to Pittsburgh. Maldonado, a shot right at Dozier, and that's going to turn into an easy double play. Another one for Mike Pelfrey. Second time he's got Maldonado with a double play ball. The 3rd of the day for the Twins. He has 7 shutout innings. Stretch time here at Target Field. We turn it over to our friends here in Minneapolis and their presentation of God Bless America.
From Theodore Roosevelt Medora Foundation of Medora, North Dakota, the president is going to lead us in the singing of God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love, stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean.
Target Field in Minneapolis. Brewers down 2-0 as we head to the bottom of the 7th. And happy birthday, partner.
Oh, come on now.
It's a good picture of you. Was it 44 today?
Thank you.
Nobody can forget what June 7th means around here in the broadcast booth. Now, I want you to know I had nothing to do with that. We had a deal, right?
Rock and I have an understanding for birthdays. I appreciate that, though.
It wasn't my fault. I mean,
no problem.
You know, they put it on the screen. We have to talk about it.
You know, I share a birthday with Prince.
Fielder?
Since we're here in Minneapolis.
Fielder?
No. The Prince.
The artist formerly referred to as
Prince?
Prince?
He's not formerly. Now he's currently known as Prince again. Yes.
Okay.
Prince Rogers Nelson.
Who else? Tim Laudner.
Oh, yeah, Tim Laudner, right? Our colleague with the Twins live pre- and post-game show.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad to spend another birthday with you. It'll be 9 in a row now.
I'll buy you a nice dinner on the plane.
All right. We'll do it. There's Tim.
Former catcher.
Happy birthday to him. He's got a few signs around the ballpark. Had a nice big cake. They sang to him. None of that for me, unfortunately, today. It's okay. Understand?
That was part of the deal, right?
I'm a downplay birthday guy. I know you are as well. I like to sneak those by, but hard to sneak them by in the social media age. Mauer grounds to second, right at Perez. Out number 1.
Get a nice card from the family. They hide it in a suitcase or something?
No, well, I don't know. I haven't.
Well, you'd have known by now, haven't you? Unless you haven't even gotten into the suitcase
I haven't gotten in it just yet. Yes, we had a nice little birthday celebration when I was home before this road trip began. Always fun. Part of summer. Torrey Hunter with 1 away. Big bouncing ball right there for Segura. 2 outs in the inning. 2 up and 2 down. So our Carshoot.com trivia question a few innings back. We'll refresh your memory here. Which former Brewer pitcher surrendered Molitor's final hit in '98 versus Cleveland? He was playing for the Twins then. And the answer would be Doug Jones, pitching for the Indians. Was Davey Nelson part of that staff in '98? The Indians? It's close.
Davey's here.
We'll have to get validation on that.
Jonesy had some big save seasons. Doug Jones.
Speaking of great changeups, huh?
Yeah.
Molitor's first hit came against Mike Flanagan of the Orioles. Last hit, Doug Jones. Interesting, he's got Jack Morris and Roger Clemens most hits allowed. Those are 2 big names right there, huh?
Yeah.
Had 225 to lead the league that year with the Twins. Right back to Blazek. This guy just continues to get the job done. Michael Blazek is developing into a very reliable pitcher for the Brewers. 3 up and 3 down. Him out of Baby of the Year contention, but he's a pretty cute kid, and he's having some fun here at Target Field. A lot of families here today. Great crowd, great day for baseball. The Brewers are trailing 2-0. A reminder: tomorrow, don't miss Team USA's first game as they battle Australia on Fox Sports 1. Plus games all weekend long on Fox Sports 1 and Fox Sports 2, and it's all streaming live on Fox Sports Go. The Women's World Cup 2015. Starting tomorrow. Shane Robinson takes over in left field for the Twins. Escobar is out. Mike Pelfrey back on the mound. He's pitching in his 8th inning. 9-1-2 coming up. Hernan Perez, Carlos Gomez, and Jonathan Lucroy.
You got to get something done in this inning. You got the hammer out in that bullpen waiting. Glenn Perkins has not blown a save yet this year. Pelfrey is dealing today, keeping the baseball down, literally scattering 7 hits.
A hit an inning. There's Perkins, a closer, American League leader in saves. Perez has one of those hits. He singled in 3rd. In case Pelfrey runs into trouble, 2 loosening in the bullpen. The right-hander with his back to his Casey Feen. The left-hander is Brian Dunsing. Brewers have 3 right-handers following Perez, and then the lefty Lind.
Yeah, that's who Dunsing is getting ready for.
Two. Laid off. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Hernan Perez had his first Brewers hit back in the 3rd. Trying to get on for Carlos Gomez. Michael Blazek did a great job for the Brewers out of the pen. Stranded 2 runners in the 6th. He retired 5 in a row. A payoff pitch. Strike called. Outside corner. Perez disagrees. But Pelfrey hits the edge. And another strikeout for him. A leadoff strikeout in this 8th inning. That's the 7th K for Pelfrey.
And you can see where Suzuki's setting up right down the middle, and that one catches the outside corner. Good pitch by him.
That cluster on Fox Tracks gives you an idea of how good Pelfrey's been today. Here we are pitching, or he is pitching in the 8th inning, and he's able to command everything down and away. Gomez takes a strike, same pitch. 96 miles an hour.
Still in the 8th inning. You saw Suzuki sitting up down the middle on that 3-2 pitch, and you can get away with that as a catcher. You can set up down the middle because of the movement that Pelfrey has going down in the zone. His ability to keep it low. You don't have to be on the corners when you're down at the knees.
Gomez in the air to left, didn't get it, and this will be routine for Robinson. 2 outs.
Hey, this Friday, June 12th, it's another student night at Miller Park. All high school and college students can purchase $10 Terrace Reserved or $15 Lowe's Bleachers tickets for the Brewers showdown with the Nationals, plus enjoy a special $3 pregame menu. For details, visit brewers.com/students.
2 outs, 8th inning. Here is Lucroy. Lucroy today is 1 for 3. Bounced into a double play in the 3rd. Pelfrey has 3 double plays today. He started the one on Lucroy. And that is fair, just inside the bag. Over to cut it off is Rosario. That ball took a big bounce off the angled wall. It's a 2-out single, and the Brewers are going to send Ryan Braun to the plate representing the tying run, and you wonder if that's going to force the hand of Paul Molitor. It is.
Here he comes.
He is on his way out to make a change. So Molitor, a 2-0 game, is not going to allow Pelfrey to face Ryan Braun, I don't think. Hasn't made a call yet.
I mean, I guess Pelfrey's his best option if you think about it. I mean, who are you going to bring in? You're going to get Glenn Perkins in the 9th. He's going to keep him in. Just wanted to go out there and see how he felt. That would have been a stunner had he taken him out.
And you know, I've heard managers say before, they know that there's going to be a little bit of an ovation, a little bit of a charge when you leave a guy in. And Molitor got that, so Pelfrey will face Braun. Hey, the way Molitor popped out of that dugout, I thought he was going to make the change. Now Braun, with his 13 homers on the Powerball home run leaderboard, will get a chance to tie this one up with one swing of the bat. Adam Lind due next. This figures to be Pelfrey's last hitter. Braun lines one, caught at third by Nunez. Taking extra bases away from Ryan Braun. And the move pays off for Paul Molitor. Mike Pelfrey, 8 shutout innings today. Still 2-0. Eduardo Nunez goes up the ladder to pull this one down.
At Target Field. Coming up next on Brewers Live postgame, Davey Nelson joins me. We'll look at some missed chances by both teams to keep this a close game. A good day for Mike Pelfrey. We'll hear from manager Craig Counsell and look ahead to the final series of this road trip from the Twin Cities to the land of 3 rivers. That's all on Brewers Live postgame. Let's go back to BA and Rob.
All right, Jeff, thanks. Heading to Pittsburgh tonight. Right now it is 2-0 Twins. And we go to the Twins half of the 8th inning. Corey Knebel will have this 8th, and he's trying to keep it 2-0, give the Brewers a chance in the 9th.
Yeah, Knebel finished the game on Friday in the Brewers 10-5 victory through a scoreless inning, 3 up, 3 down, including a strikeout. A 312 earned run average for the hard-throwing Knebel.
Tough luck for Ryan Braun to end the 8th inning. Hit a bullet down to third. Not sure if Lucroy would have been able to score from first, but certainly would have been second and third with Lind coming up. Instead, Pelfrey goes through 8. Shane Robinson just in the game defensively last inning, his first at bat. The hard throwing Knebel here in the Twins half of the 8th. For Mike Pelfrey, it is the first time he has gone 8 innings in a game since April of 2012.
Yeah.
He's had some injury-filled seasons, and including last year, where he had surgery on his pitching arm.
He's gone 7 innings a number of times, including his last 2 before today. So he has been an innings eater for the Twins so far.
A modern day innings eater.
Right.
In the context of
that's a lot.
The new game.
6th time he's gone 7 or more innings. So,
I qualified that because I think I heard Jack Morris laughing, belly laughing outside the hallway.
About well, he
7 innings eater.
Laughing at that and laughing at 200 innings being a benchmark. Used to have that before the All-Star break.
Well, Pelfrey, got to give him a lot of credit. Brewers had a hit in every inning.
Well, 3 double plays, and his ability to keep the ball on the ground allowed only 6 fly ball outs. And a number of those fly ball outs were actually line drive outs.
Grounder back to the mound. Knebel in self-defense makes the play for the out. Heck of a play by Corey Knebel. It was either going to hit his glove or it was going to hit him.
Not sure if he caught it or the ball caught him. Check it out. Able to get the glove up just in the nick of time and able to pull it in.
Looking like the Matrix out there, Corey Knebel. 1 away. Here is Eduardo Nunez, who just made that terrific catch, robbing Braun of a double. A shot past Segura, base hit. Eduardo Nunez with his 2nd hit of the day. He's 2 for 4. He is on with 1 out.
Knebel hung the curveball that time just out of the reach of Segura. Hit it hard, waited back. He got one up in his eyes.
That'll bring up Aaron Hicks. A number of games have gone final in the big leagues. A lot of East Coast games today on the schedule. Boston beat Oakland 7-4. Pittsburgh, the Brewers' next opponent, they shut out Atlanta. Garrett Cole did it again. Garrett Cole is 9-2 with a 1.73 earned run average. Runner goes, swinging a foul.
So the Brewers don't have to worry about seeing him.
No, they're going to miss Cole. He went 7 shutout today. Dropped his earned run average to 1.73. Mark Melanson with his 18th save of the year.
Yeah, tomorrow it's going to be A.J. Burnett and his 6-1 record. Liriano, then Morton. Pretty good pitching staff in Pittsburgh.
No doubt. They're coming on fast, the Pirates. Cardinals still have the best record in the big leagues. Pirates are in 2nd in the division, 6.5 back, despite being 6 games over 500. Phillies beat the Giants today, 6-4 in Philadelphia. Yankees extended their winning streak to 6 in a row. 6-2 win over the Angels. Yankees are in first place in the AL East. Got a 1.5 lead over the Rays. 1 ball, 1 strike. Knebel facing Aaron Hicks. Runner goes again. Hicks grounds one to first. And Lind will step on the bag for the out. 2 outs. Johnny Cueto won today, Rock. He's 4-4, starting to come on a little bit. Thought he was injured, but he came back. He beat the Padres today. They had a shutout, did the Reds. 4-0 was the final. Cueto went 7, punched out 9. Cincinnati, like the Brewers, under 500. The 2 teams in the division under 500. Cubs, Pirates, and Cardinals all plus. Swing and a miss, Santana. Orioles over the Indians, and the Blue Jays beat the Astros. Those are the finals in. Sunday night game is Cardinals-Dodgers tonight from Los Angeles. Lance Lynn and Zach Greinke. Good matchup there. It's going to be a key stretch for the Twins. They got the Royals beginning tomorrow. They go to Texas to play the surging Rangers, who are suddenly in a pennant race now, having won 3 in a row and 7 of their last 10.
They're in second place.
Slow roller coming in. Perez shovels it to first and in time for the out. That was his only chance at an out. Hernan Perez makes a beautiful play to end the inning. See if that inspires the Brew Crew. Last call to the ninth, down 2-0. Wisconsin, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Book your stay now. Target Field, Minneapolis, last game of the series. Brewers are looking for a sweep, but they are going to have to hustle now. They are trailing 2-0. Our AT&T U-verse rewind. The only 2 runs of the game came in the second inning. Torrey Hunter led off with a walk, then Rosario doubled in Hunter, and then Escobar, the next hitter, tripled in Rosario. Twins have had a ton of base runners, but just the 2 runs. Mike Pelfrey on top of his game here today. 8 shutout innings. He strikes out 7, scattering 8 hits. And now one of the best closers in the big leagues, Glenn Perkins, on the mound for Minnesota.
Yeah, he has been lights out. He's got a .89 earned run average in those 20 saves.
Lind on the first pitch, slow roller. Dozier makes the play. 1 pitch, 1 out. Tough matchup there for Adam Lind with the hard-throwing lefty.
Yeah, he throws in the mid-upper 90s with a good slider. And Adam Lind hangs in there pretty well on against left-handed pitching, but a slow roller to Dozier, who makes it look easy. Kind of a stutter step before he gets to first base. Might have cost him a base hit right there.
I think you're right. That was a good play by Dozier as well. The ball hit the lip of the grass. Good camera work there to show you how it stayed down. Dozier makes the play. Here's Ramirez. 1 ball, 1 strike. Perkins, a starter turned reliever, and turned one of the best closers in the game. This guy has found something special. Leads the American League in saves with 20.
20 for 20. Not bad. He's been good. He's had a good career here in Minnesota.
From this area, pitching for his hometown team. Ramirez down the right field line, slicing, foul. Brewers have been shut out 5 times this year in their first 56 games. They were shut out 1-0 in St. Louis. Council is hoping for a snatch them back here today. The Royals have beaten the Rangers today. Kansas City won 4-3. There's a called strike 3. Down goes Ramirez. 2 outs.
He had a slider right there and right down the middle of the plate. There is apparently looking for something up in his zone, maybe the fastball, but check this one out. No doubt this is a strike. Right down the middle.
Caught Ramirez guessing. 2 quick outs on 6 pitches. Minnesota needing a win to remain in first by themselves, with the Royals coming in here tomorrow. Brewers down to their last out. Parra takes a strike. Perkins has impeccable command with his fastball and his slider. Buried that one on the outside corner. Brewers got caught in a pretty bad spot in their lineup here with 2 lefties having to face Perkins. Lind and Parra. If Parra can reach, Gene Segura would follow.
And Parra's success against lefties so far this year, the reason he's getting an at-bat. Brewers have 3 guys on the bench that could bat right-handed.
That's upstairs. So the count is 3-1. Segura next. He lost him. Walked him on 5 pitches. A 2-out walk here in the 9th inning. He didn't miss by much, but missed nonetheless. And that'll bring up Segura.
It's only the 4th walk issued by Perkins. That's one of the things that makes him so good. He's got good stuff and he throws strikes. Tying run, walks to the plate from Milwaukee.
Gene Segura takes a ball low. Well, it is Sunday. Sunday is Maldonado Day for walk-offs. Martin Maldonado is due next. Segura trying to get him a swing here. There's a bouncer. And Mauer to the bag, and the Twins salvage this final game of the series. Perkins with his American League leading 21st save. Makes a winner out of Mike Pelfrey, who goes to 5-2. Pelfrey with 8 shutout innings, dropping his ERA to 2.28. That is among league leaders in the AL. The Twins will remain atop the American League Central all by themselves with their division rivals coming in tomorrow. Brewers take 2 out of 3 from Minnesota, and now getting ready to head to Pittsburgh, PA. Time for Brewers Live. We send it out to Jeff Grayson and Davey Nelson. Jeff?
Okay, thanks a lot, B.